So you beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go through the season 1.5 update for Call of Duty Vanguard, which should be released sometime tomorrow. I believe it's going to be 12 AM in the UK, whatever time in your local neighborhood. That is something you'll be able to find with Sledgehammer on their tweets. But we're going to speak about the patch notes, obviously, but also we're going to digress a little bit about why it's taken so long to get to this point, and if this patch is even really going to do anything that's quintessentially needed for this game. So if we look in, I'm not even going to read this bit here because, listen, they give us this lovely little speech every time, but the short and narrow of it is, we haven't really had any transparency when it comes to Call of Duty Vanguard, and it's definitely become a running theme in the AAA stratosphere, never mind just Call of Duty, that will put out a game now and we'll literally update it when we feel need to. Whilst you've paid your top dollar for this game, we'll give you a substandard product, and then eventually, just eventually, maybe 6 to 8 months later, in regards to the last World War II game we got in Call of Duty, maybe we'll update the game so it's actually enjoyable and playable in that aspect. But anyway, let's not get on a rant on this one. But essentially, they've had time off, they've come back, and now they look ready to get to the nitty-gritty. But I think they may just well have lost the majority of people playing this game. It's exactly what happened with me in Call of Duty World War II. I actually can't still believe I'm here for Vanguard. I don't know what that's about. I really can't answer. Someone must have spiked my drinks over the Christmas period. But anyway, multiplayer updates, stability, several sources of packet burst have been identified and resolved. Now, I'm not going to read any further into this because I've seen on Sledgehammer, or whether it was Charlie Intel on Twitter, have said not every packet burst issue has been resolved, so I don't even know why they're telling us this. In terms of spawn logic has been tuned to improve small maps with higher player counts. Yeah, I don't believe that one for a second. Let's be honest, the spawn logic in this game has gone from good spawns to a spawn logic that clearly benefits Timmy No Thumbs, and it's at the utter frustration of the better player who's on a streak when Timmy gets spawned behind you, 3 foot behind you, and you get shot in your back. Spawn logic in this game hasn't worked for several years, in my opinion. So when they say they've adjusted it, I don't necessarily believe them. Adjusted spawn logic for domination on Dome. Spawns in control mode have been significantly adjusted to prevent out of map spawns on Tuscan. Prevent spawning in enemy lines of sight. Listen, it's literally just what I've said, isn't it? Yeah, we'll see if you've prevented that. Prevented players from spawning directly on teammates. Well, I've literally just played a game of Shipment, and I was spawning on the enemy's dogs, getting bit in my ass. Yeah, leave game. On to the next. Weapons and equipment bugs fixes. Attack/guard dog kill now count towards the Panzerfaust camo challenges, which is something that has really been upsetting many members of the Call of Duty community. I chose not to even bother going for the atomic camo because we've seen in previous games that the camos were glitched, Modern Warfare 2019 being a perfect example. So I just thought, you know what, to hell with that, not even doing it anymore. I'd rather go back to the old days with the 4 camo, the red tiger, the blue tiger, just the simple old days, X amount of kills, job done. The STG Reptilian Camo Weapons Challenge is now tracking bloodthirsty kills, and as I look through the list, there's plenty of ones that weren't tracking that now are tracking instead of boring you. Addressed an issue that prevented the kill an enemy while they have a spy plane active 5-time challenge from tracking. Listen, I'm sorry because we are getting close to rant mode, but how have these people been allowed to go on their jollies for X amount of weeks for Thanksgiving and Christmas because of certain pressures in the workplace, and they've put out a substandard product? I don't get this mentality, because in any other industry, if I was in my job and I didn't do my job to the best of my ability and put out a substandard product, you can guarantee I'll be pulled in an office and poor performed, written warning, you name it, it would happen. And to be honest with you, I'm in an industry which is, you can't even afford to get it wrong, because it can have catastrophic consequences at the end of the day. So I don't know, maybe I'm in the wrong industry for me to be looking in on this one, because I am going to be highly critical of that. But anyway, back to all of these things just don't seem to work. Locked camo and attachments can no longer be swapped, and unlocked items. A bug resulting in missing post-match flow has been fixed. A bug resulting in the Type 100 blueprint Thunderhead being invisible in pre-match countdowns has been fixed, because of course if someone's got the blueprint, you've got to show it off, haven't you? Weapons and equipment balancing changes. This could be interesting. So weapons, M1 Garand reduced recoil, the Type 99 reduced aim flinch, reduced ADS time, retain one shot kill potential for chest shots when smaller caliber ammo is used. The Freeline rifle reduced ADS time. The Car 98 retains one shot kill potential for chest shots when smaller caliber ammo is used. Ammo hollow points remove damage range penalties. Equipment, the stun grenade, reduced stun grenade damage in hardcore modes, reduced how long players are affected by the stun grenade. Incendiary grenade. Now this one has been controversial, because I've not played the game for a few days, hence no uploads, because this is all I'm seeing on my screen is sparklers. It's almost like my missus' birthday cake. She was 30 a couple of days ago. I put some sparklers on a cake, and it just reminded me I was having PTSD Call of Duty Vanguard, because all I could see was thermites and incendiary grenades everywhere. But the damage has been reduced on those, which is something that I think a lot of the community are going to be glad about. Kill streaks to mortar barrage, another one. Duration of the mortar strike barrage has been reduced. Number of mortar strikes per streak has been reduced. Addressed issues where mortar barrage deployed was inconsistent. Perks, high alert, slight delay added before perk activates after being seen by an enemy, which is here nor there for me. You've still got to have a decent reaction time if this goes off to actually turn around and get somebody that's aiming at you. Dauntless gives you immunity to fire and burning effects, including incendiary rounds, flame knot, and lingering fire on the ground, which is something that was overlooked ages ago. Why would you put something in the game and then not have a counter to it? That is classic Call of Duty, isn't it? It's Call of Duty 101 basically. Sorry, I'm really trying my best not to go off on these people. Fortified reduces fire damage taken by 30%, reduces excessive damage of all explosives. Maps, polish pass to improve and fix player collision issues with the map environments. Overall polish patch and destructibles throughout all maps. I may actually add that these updates are all for Call of Duty Vanguard multiplayer and not the Warzone aspect of the game. I should have mentioned that earlier in the video. And in UI and UX, seasonal change menu is now present in the challenge tab. Players will no longer experience visual rank swapping between players in private matches. Unintended distortion of MVP images has been fixed. No one really cares about that anyway, do they? Come on, let's be honest. This MVP, as I've said in previous videos, it's just to cover up the fact that the scoreboard's there and try and deviate your attention from that. And that is pretty much what I'm looking at. I'm not going to go through zombies simply because I don't play it. So let's just talk a little bit about these updates. Listen, I'm grateful. Not that I should be, because that's how the game should have come out in the first place, but I'm glad, that's the word I'll use. I'm glad that we're finally starting to get some updates. The problem is Sledgehammer and Call of Duty in general seem to have this tradition now where they fix something and then immediately break something else. Just like with the whole change in this game and the integration of this with Warzone, they categorically broke Modern Warfare. And even though I hate that game to pieces, I genuinely believe it was done on purpose to try and get people to come over to this game, because it was the worst selling Call of Duty in the Call of Duty multiplayer aspect of the game's history. these people need to be held accountable now, and I think people are genuinely holding them accountable by not buying the game at all. There are some of us that are unfortunately bound by the realms of things like YouTube, but I think we're at a point now, a tipping point with Call of Duty, where these developers need to understand that it ain't about their feelings. It ain't about if they're in their feels or in their personals. This is about making a product for a community who pay a lot of money. Remember, we're talking about Vanguard here. I think I paid £89 for this game, and £89 for you to keep giving me that excuse of the pandemic is just not good enough for me, because I've worked throughout the entire pandemic. I've not really had any days off apart from when I've actually caught the C word and I've had to mandatory have time off by law. Other than that, I've worked through the whole pandemic. I've not made no excuses. I've done what I've had to do to pull my weight. And the fact that these people think that they can hide behind that whole persona of the pandemic and put out a substandard product when people are paying money for it is, in my opinion, just disgraceful. Now I know Activision puts certain pressure out for things to be released, and ultimately they're to blame. But these devs, they keep making the same mistakes in Call of Duty, even though it's been made every single year. And I find it inexcusable now that we're still going through this. But I believe we're at a point now where the tides are turning, and I think the consumer is starting to vote with their wallets and say, you know what, to hell with all this, we're not doing it anymore. And I believe going forward, especially with the likes of them using Modern Warfare 2 as the next title, that has to deliver. And if that game does not deliver, I think it's the first Call of Duty in a long time that's actually had a full dedicated development cycle, even though it would have been developed in the pandemic. So I don't really see this whole excuse. Hopefully we'll finally start to get some decent Call of Duty games. But in a nutshell, for me, with these patches, I think that they've been getting a get out of jail card for free for several years now because of the capability to update games via satellite. And for me, as a consumer, I just feel that it's a big of a disrespect to put out the substandard game and feel that we should wait like we did with World War II, nearly 8 months for that game to get to a point where it should be, when ultimately they should take it by the scruff of the neck, own it and say, you know what, the game is going to be delayed because we don't want to give you a substandard product. But ultimately, we all know that the scenario there, that's not what Activision does. But hopefully we're pushing them to the point where they're going to have to. Guys, there are many buttons you could hit, but a like and subscribe button, update to your fancy. And as always, guys, don't forget to stay on the right track. Peace.